What about the F-35, the aircraft that the Trump administration is saying that they may sell to Saudi Arabia? Why does it matter? How many of them are there? Where did it come from? Well, the F-35, was developed in the late 90s, early 2000s, as this joint strike fighter was supposed to, basically be the next big airplane for several U.S. Services like the Air Force, and the Navy and Marines. And it was supposed to take the U.S. Air Force and the United States military, into the rest of this century, basically, the next 20, 30 years. And it first flew back in 2006, and as of today, I think more than 1,000 of them have been delivered. There are 20 countries that are part of the program, and not all those countries have received their first airframes. I mean, Greece and Romania are recent countries to join. So that will take years to shake itself out in terms of the total planned number that are going to be built. It's much more than the 1,000, 1,200 or so that there are now. So there's going to be a lot more of these planes being built, being sold to U.S. friends and allies. And Saudi Arabia, if it acquires the F-35, would be the second country in the Middle East to acquire it after Israel acquired it years ago. Israel was the first country to use it in combat operations in Syria in 2018. Israel has used it recently in the last 2 years of warfare, and it has performed very well. It's done a lot of the work that Israel needed it to do against complicated adversaries, Iran, Houthis, whatever. So the plane is really proving to be the workhorse that it was designed to be. It doesn't mean it's the only thing out there. Obviously, countries like the UAE and others that had discussed the F-35s, have obviously looked at other airplanes and warplanes that are for sale in places like Europe. So it's not the only thing out there, and there's also F-15s and things like that. But it is an important symbol of American power. It's a symbol of an American alliance system. And the countries that fly it, are good friends of the United States. If you think about some of them are Five Eyes countries, like Canada, for instance, the United Kingdom. Some of them are NATO allies, like the Czech Republic, Denmark, Greece, Italy, the Netherlands. So there's a NATO component there, but some of them are also major non-NATO allies that use the F-35. Australia, Israel, Japan, South Korea, just to name a few of them. And then there are several countries that use it that are not NATO or major non-NATO allies, such as Singapore. So this is a very important warplane. It's a symbol of American power and friendship and alliance systems. And if the Saudi Arabia acquires it, that will be great. It means that Saudi Arabia can work with U.S. Central Command and Israel flying the plane. And some people have said, yeah, well, what about normalization with Israel? Shouldn't that come first? Well, it'll take years for them to get the airplane. And even when they get it, countries can still do joint training without necessarily having normalization. So there's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts here and ins and outs. But the F-35, having more of those airplanes in the hands of U.S. partners and allies in the Middle East is a good thing. And it will probably help pave the way to closer ties between Saudi Arabia and Israel and other U.S. friends and allies. So there's a lot in it for the United States and U.S. allies and friends, and means that there's a lot of interoperability between countries that have this fifth generation warplane, because that level of warplane has all sorts of data links and things like that help it to work with other countries that have F-35s or other services.